I deleted Instagram and YouTube off of my phone for the first time and decided on January 1st to do a dopamine detox for the last 30 days. This is to take my attention back and to stop outsourcing my joy and sense of aliveness with things and come back to the mantra that I have everything I need. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did this, what was challenging, what was not, what I didn't expect, and what I did, and the rules of this, and some takeaways that maybe you can apply to your very own life. The truth of the matter is, we are in a world of endless opportunity and possibility, and in a very consumer society. And as adults, if we don't have barriers and restrictions, we are never going to put them against ourselves, right? We are going to reach for the most convenient dopamine and the most accessible dopamine that we can find. So here's a little bit of information about how dopamine actually works and why it's so important for our brain. And then I'm going to show you the rules on this challenge. Dopamine is a necessity for us to function and live our lives. There was a study of rats where their dopamine was taken out of their brain, and if they were given a piece of cheese like put in their mouth, they would eat it, but if it was put 2 inches in front of them, they wouldn't go and get it. It is our motivating factor for all things in life, and it is essential for us to have. However, we are wired to choose the most convenient and accessible dopamine that there is. So when you download an app that is designed to get you addicted to it and never stop looking at it since the day you put it on your phone, you are walking around mentally obese, right? Because in the same sense of constant consumption of food and never having breaks and never having a diet plan and never having those moments of restriction, we are doing that with our brains when we are always on Instagram, our email, whatever social media source that you choose. Now, I did not do this dopamine detox perfectly, but I got a lot out of trying, and these are the rules. First, no consumption in terms of buying things. So I did not go to Amazon unless it was essential. Everything I bought was at the grocery store. I didn't go out to eat. I did not buy any coffees. I didn't buy any fast food. I didn't get any lunch out or anything like that. And everything I consumed was from my own home, from my own kitchen. In the midst of that, I chose to have no sugar, so not consuming sweets and these like cheap thrills from, drinks and ice cream, all that stuff. So since I wasn't doing that and since I was making all my meals at home, I decided on the 5th day of this challenge to start Whole30. So if you haven't heard of Whole30, it is an elimination plan to reduce the inflammation in your body in 30 days, and you only consume whole foods, or you don't consume dairy, grains, added sugar, legumes, soy. That's pretty much it. It sounds extreme, but I've done it before and it was really transformational and gave me a lot of clarity, and I felt incredible. So I decided that it was a good time to start that as well. There's also no binge tech, so I deleted Instagram and YouTube off my phone. I chose not to watch any series at this time. I did allow myself to watch TV, right? I would watch like one episode of something. I would watch one YouTube video or podcast. I would only allow for one thing at a time and not continuously watch a show, or every time I would sit down to eat, I wouldn't put something on, or tried really hard to. But that was a big part of this as well, is how can I consume food or a walk or a workout without needing to add more consumption? And then finally, no shopping at all. So yeah, no shopping for food, no takeout or anything like that, but also no buying anything, right? So no clothing, no, just little things that might make me happy, little treats, little, even like events and stuff like that. I really tried not to buy any external events that I am perfectly capable of doing either for myself or not buying into any programs, not buying anything like that. Just really sourcing it from within. Now, this might sound like a living hell, and I get that. I really do. But it taught me, I think the biggest takeaway was that restriction and having barriers and boundaries in our adult lives is where discipline is created and where we can actually move from a centered place and not be so overwhelmed with what is available to us. Right? I spent a lot of my life not eating things and not having sweets and all that stuff from a, insecure body image perspective. And once I got out of that, I just was open to, okay, what can I eat? What can I do? I can eat whatever I want, blah, 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 blah. And like that wasn't healthy for me either. I want to create an environment in my body and in my mind where I have less options so I can have proper decision making that is going to ultimately support my mind and my body and my spirit. If I am over consuming in any area of my life, that means I'm just not paying attention. And when I'm giving my attention to other things, then I miss big picture. I miss little details. I miss the subtle messages that are coming to me and coming to all of us all the time. Our higher self, God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, is in constant communication and co-creation with us 365, 24/7. So if we're constantly distracted, then we cannot get this information. We cannot receive. So in addition to this 30 days, I wanted to be in reflection. I wanted to be in pattern recognition. So I created a lot of this was inspired from Dan Koe. I'm not going to take full credit from this. Dan Koe is amazing. Check him out. Love his Dopamine Detox. He's super masculine and intense, but he's great. Every single night, I did the 3-2-1 writing method, which you write 3 wins, 2 lessons, and 1 intention for the next morning each day. Then, after the 30 days, you can review it and see some patterns that you've made. Because I was just watching a Tony Robbins podcast, and he said that pattern recognition is the most valuable thing that you can do for yourself to actually grow. Right? We are constantly in patterns. Our world is in patterns. Our history is in patterns. Patterns are recognizable and preventable and changeable. So that really struck me as a way to look at the world, look at myself, and notice that I will react to something in a very similar way that I've reacted before, and how I can actually make these deeply ingrained condition changes. Because that's the biggest thing that came from this, is what came up, is what it conspired. It's like, wow, like regardless of having Instagram or YouTube on my phone and desiring to do something different every night and not sit on my phone and not watch TV and not do this and that, I have been watching television every night in some capacity, entertaining myself with a screen since I've been a small child. Like, this is one of the most deeply ingrained conditions I have, and it's very hard to break. And I allowed myself an hour of this or that, and I tried to read and stretch and do that or whatever, but like, It was really hard to change that, and I'm not saying that I've been able to battle it or overcome it, but I am seeing it for what it is and actively working on putting something else in place, a little by little, to slowly change this deeply ingrained conditioning. Another huge takeaway with the Whole30 was that I don't like sweets. I don't really crave them. I don't really need them. And I was using them as another form of a drug, a hit, or whatever, right? I don't drink, I don't smoke weed, I don't do much, okay? I don't. And that doesn't mean that I don't want a high. That just means that I got rid of those highs and I am using another method because I feel good about myself that I don't do this anymore, but I'm just finding them in other ways, i.e., social media, sweets, food, whatever, you name it. When I take away the sweets and I can see that I was solely doing that because I just wanted to literally feel something, helps me recognize when I want that again, that there's something more, right? I don't actually want a sweet, I want connection. I want love. I want something deeper. And my mantra this entire time was, I have everything I need. I have everything I need. I don't need to buy new plants. I don't need to buy anything. If I'm looking for something, I'm like, ooh, I should, do I need this tape or something like that? I have the tape. I have everything I need. I have everything to entertain myself. I have everything to wear whatever I want to wear. I don't need to buy any clothes. And that mantra, without that consistently being shown or shoved in my face, it was easy to fall away from it because I was doing a lot at once, right? And so I was so consistent with my Whole30, so on top of it, doing it correctly, not having those unallowed foods. And if you haven't done Whole30, get the book if you're going to do it. It's very helpful and super informative, but like Whole30 is, you do not slip up on Whole30. You don't, have 20 days in or 10 days in, you're like, oh, I'm just going to have one pasta dinner. No, you don't do that. You stay on top of it for 30 days. And if you do that, you start over again. The whole point is to get yourself to that point of 30 days where you've really detoxed yourself, and then you slowly implement those foods back into your diet to actually see what is causing you harm and inflammation and what do you actually want to keep in your diet. It's a strict method, and there's not enough things in this world anymore that require people to be strict, that require this level of discipline and effort. Really ask yourself, what in your life do you have that requires you to be disciplined other than your own volition? What is asking you to show up in a way that you don't really want to, but it's for your betterment, so you do it? It's all through our own, I don't want to use the word motivation, but our own desire to be better, right? Why am I doing this? Because I want to improve my life. I know that if my physique looks better, if my body works better, if my brain is sharper, then I'm going to do more. I'm going to show up better for everyone involved. I'm going to help more people. I'm going to have the motivation and drive and ideas flow to me for what I want to accomplish. And I am so ingrained in this society of doing just enough, right? We're like, go to work, come home. Like, go, if you went to work today, like, that's enough, right? That's what I grew up with. That's what I've been shown. That's what I've been like, if you worked all day, then you can watch TV all night. There you go. Always can. never a problem, never question it, right? And that has been something so ingrained into my psyche that has been so apparent during this time. And just so many things from my childhood, from my experience of growing up and learning that, I'm not a child anymore. I am a full-blown adult with my own choices and ways of being, and I get to make new patterns and new conditions for myself. And that requires my undivided attention. I'm going to go through the biggest shifts I had and why I think everyone should do this at least once a year. Life slowed down quite a bit. I felt like my days felt so much more, so much longer, and I felt the level of exhaustion that I've experienced during this time was my most unexpected, unanticipated, especially while doing Whole30 when you get to this thing called tiger blood. And if you don't know about tiger blood, basically it's a phase where the energy skyrockets, like mental clarity, motivation, confidence, like you're like euphoric. And I was expecting it around like day 10. And it did not happen. If anything, I was more exhausted. Healing doesn't always feel like energy. Sometimes it just feels like stability. And taking things really slow and noticing like my expectation wanted these like quick, fast results is just the antithesis of being in this dopamine detox, this need for something to be fast acting. And so shifting away from needing that constant gratification, that constant need of a change, right? Something different happening, fulfillment seeking over and over and over again. And just wanting that relief, like trying to see what's out there. Like there's something. But what is it? We don't know. So recognizing that was huge. Another big takeaway for me was the fact that for the past couple years, I have been in a place where I've wanted to move or keep my house, don't keep my house, sell my house, want to live in Europe, want to live here, want to live there, go here, go there. I want to leave, I want to get away, And that, when I came into the mantra of I have everything I need and started being in the gratitude, being in a place of thanking everything that I have, being in an appreciative state, that started to go away. Yes, there is a relief that I don't need to live here forever. I'm not tied here forever. I can leave when it's the right time, but I am stopping like future tripping on the fact that I am and being really content with where I'm at and really happy and just not constantly looking for a way out or wanting more. I also just gained my attention span back, like able to listen to audiobooks for an extended period of time, watch a movie, read a book from start to finish, read an article, learn about something, take the time to complete a task from start to finish. Don't be not being so overwhelmed by something and wanting it to be quick. Just the essence of that slowing down and desiring for things to be less intense, right? It just doesn't have to be so intense. I want to close by saying that this is really hard to do this work when we are in a constant place of convenience spewing out at us at every orifice of this society that you basically trip over it when you walk out the door. Like, why make your life harder when you can DoorDash and go to Dunkin' Donuts and, go out to dinner? And when you have money, when you have all these things for yourself, when you can just buy whatever you want and all that, why would you, decide to not spend it and just eat your own food and when you are only motivated by yourself, it just requires this sense of sovereignty and self-ownership, and that, taking full responsibility for our actions and all of our affairs. And if we can't do that with our most basic needs, then how are we going to do it with anything else, This just opens your eyes to everything that's already here. And being in the stillness, being in the quiet. Boredom is a feature, not a bug. In order to be creative, you must be in a state of contemplation. What do I do today, right? You give yourself 30 minutes to just think about other things that you can do, or write for 30 minutes, or read for 30 minutes, or walk for 30 minutes, or do anything that does not require a 10-second, 30-second cheap thrill. Just give yourself the attention back. So what I've also recognized is that at the end of the day, the moment I go back on social media, the moment I go back to Instagram, it will suck me right back in. I could be off it for years and it would do the same thing, and there's many studies of this. But how I show up and why I show up is going to keep me grounded. And having these little bouts of detoxification, or just deletion or removal, is going to, I think, help me in the long run. And if I create longer form videos such as this, and if I create this type of content, then I will also consume this type of content and hopefully give my followers, my people, an out with this need for constant gratification. So if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, comment below. Have you ever thought about doing a dopamine detox? Have you ever thought about this type of work? Have you ever recognized that you have a problem? Because despite my best efforts, screen restrictions, Opal apps, sleeping with my phone outside my room, meditation, and beyond, I still find myself in short form rabbit holes, searching for something that I can't quite put my finger on. And without this sort of hard stop, it's never going to end. And it won't end for you too. So the reason for this is to be in more alignment with the person I want to show up as the end of 2026. Have a clear head, a sovereign mind, being project-based and artistically sound. Just really showing up in this creator space as a creator, not a consumer. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.